"Now," my sister screamed, "you're going to listen to me." Before I could move, she grabbed the heavy brass candlestick and slammed it down. The $40,000 Ming vase I had spent 3 months restoring shattered instantly, turning into a cloud of porcelain dust across the studio floor. She stood there in the middle of the wreckage, breathing hard, waiting for me to break. Waiting for tears. For panic. For me to beg. I didn't. I unlocked my phone, took 3 clear photos of her standing in the debris, and quietly pressed the silent alarm under my desk. My hands didn't start shaking until I was back in my car, parked a few meters away. The adrenaline that had kept me still while Brittany screamed drained out of me all at once, leaving a cold, empty ache behind. I drove without thinking. Seattle blurred past until I turned into the long, winding driveway of my house. They call it the Glass House now. A mid-century modern place perched on a cliff, featured in magazines and worth over $1 million. But when I bought it, it was falling apart. Mold, broken windows, rotting wood. Everyone else saw a disaster. I saw potential. That's what I do. I'm Kendra. I'm 26. I take broken things and bring them back to life. Restoration isn't just about tools or materials. It's about vision, seeing value where others see trash. It's a skill I learned growing up. In my family, I was never the star. My sister Brittany was. My parents, Richard and Susan, made sure of that. I was the one behind the scenes, the one who fixed things, handled bills, cleaned up messes. He got the spotlight. I got responsibility. I was useful. Never celebrated. Inside the house, the silence wrapped around me like a shield. I ran my hand along the teak panels I had restored myself, piece by piece. My parents like to tell people they helped me build all this, that they gave me a head start. The truth is simpler. When I was 19, they gave me $5,000, not as a gift but as a loan, so they could turn my room into a studio for Brittany. I paid every dollar back in 6 months. With interest. Everything after that. Every tool. Every project. Every risk. But in my family, facts don't matter. They believe success is limited. Like there's only so much to go around. So if I succeed, it must mean I took something from her. In their minds, I didn't build a business. I stole her future. I poured a glass of water and glanced at the security monitor. The studio feed was still live. The police were gone. A cleaning crew was already sweeping up what remained of the vase. I zoomed in on the empty space where it had stood. Brittany hadn't just broken something valuable. She thought she could break me. Remind me that everything I built could be destroyed in seconds. That I'd panic. That I'd pay. That I'd fix things, like I always had. But she didn't understand something. When you spend your life repairing broken things, you learn where the cracks are. And you also learn this. Some things aren't worth fixing. Some things need to be cleared away so you can build something stronger in their place. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from my mother. We need to talk. No. No apology. No concern. Just another demand. I stared at the screen for a moment. And didn't reply. I turned my phone face down, took a slow sip of water and watched the sun sink behind the trees. They thought the fight had just begun. They had no idea I'd been preparing for it for years. It took them exactly a week to come back. In those 7 days I didn't reach out. I didn't argue. I didn't ask for anything. I documented everything. The damage. The loss. The reports. I filed the insurance claims, even knowing they'd push back. I secured every piece of inventory in the studio. And then I waited. Because I knew how this worked. In my family, silence isn't seen as strength. It's seen as weakness. And weakness invites attack. On Tuesday morning, I was in the studio inspecting a set of water-damaged Victorian chairs, when the front door chimed. I assumed it was a delivery. Then I heard it, heels on concrete. My mother's heels. I straightened, wiped my hands and turned. Richard and Susan stood in the doorway. They didn't look sorry. They looked confident, like they'd already decided how this would end. "This place is a mess," my mother said, glancing around with a frown. "You really work like this?" "I'm working," I replied evenly. "What do you want?" My father stepped forward, resting his hand on the workbench. "We need to talk about Brittany," he said. "She's in serious trouble." "I'm not surprised," I said. "Destroying property usually has consequences." "Don't be dramatic," my mother snapped. "The vase was an accident." I almost laughed. "Because of you," she continued, her voice tightening. Because of the pressure you put on her, hoarding your success, she made a mistake. Mistake. That mistake, my father added calmer now, involved her online store. Some handbags weren't exactly authentic. Counterfeit, I said. That's called fraud. It was a sourcing issue, my mother insisted. She didn't know. But now it's serious. There are fines. Investigations. They're even talking about prison. Silence stretched between us. She's 24, my mother said softer now. She can't go to prison. I crossed my arms. Then hire a lawyer. We can't, my father said. Her accounts are frozen. Our money is tied up. We need you. Of course they did. You have the cash, he continued. We know you do. They weren't asking. They were expecting. You want me to pay for her defense? I asked. We want you to fix this, my mother said quickly. Sell some of this, she gestured dismissively at the antiques around us. Pay the fines, get her a good lawyer, help her start over. It's the least you can do. The least I can do? I repeated quietly. You owe us, my father snapped. We gave you everything. The start, the support, this business. I stared at him. The lie was so complete, so confidently delivered, it almost impressed me. They truly believed it. They had rewritten history to make themselves the reason I succeeded, so they could claim a share of it. I'm not selling anything, I said. And I'm not paying for her. My mother's expression hardened. Then you're sending your sister to prison. No, I replied calmly. She did that herself. You're choosing money over family. I'm choosing not to be taken advantage of again. I pointed toward the door. Leave. They didn't move right away. My father stepped closer, his voice low. You think you're safe here, he said. In your glass house. I met his gaze. Glass breaks. The threat hung in the air. Then they turned and walked out. I stood there for a long moment after the door closed, my pulse loud in my ears. They were desperate. And desperate people don't stop. They escalate. I looked around my studio, at everything I had built, protected, restored. Locks weren't enough. I didn't just need protection. I needed leverage. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of fear. Out of focus. Because for the first time I understood something clearly. I couldn't fight them as their daughter. They knew how to manipulate that. If I wanted to win, I had to become something else. Something they couldn't control. The next morning I called them. My voice was calm, quiet, carefully measured. Like someone who had finally given in. I have a solution, I told my father. Meet me at my office. They showed up at noon. Brittany wore oversized sunglasses, trying to hide her swollen eyes, like a fallen celebrity avoiding cameras. My parents walked in behind her, confident and composed, like they had already won. We sat across from each other at the conference table. Cold steel. Unpolished. The only thing in the room I hadn't restored. I'm glad you finally came to your senses, my father said, loosening his tie. Family helps family. I can't pay everything directly, I said, sliding a thick binder across the table. Most of my money is tied up in inventory. But I can buy the debt. My mother frowned. What does that mean? It means I become Brittany's investor, I said calmly. I'll cover the legal fees, repay the customers, and fund the rebrand. In return, we form a partnership. I control the finances. She handles the brand. Brittany lowered her sunglasses, interest flashing in her eyes. So you pay for everything, and I keep running my business? Essentially, I said. I didn't mention the rest. Just sign it, my father said without even opening the binder. She's covering everything. There are conditions, I added, tapping the pages. Standard protections. The brand is used as collateral. He waved me off. Paperwork. It's fine. Brittany grabbed the pen. She didn't read a single page. Not the clauses. Not the terms. Not the part that turned her brand, her accounts, her name, her entire business, into something legally tied to my money. To them this was a rescue. To me it was control. Done, she said, dropping the pen with a small smile. Try not to micromanage me, okay? I have a vision. We'll follow the contract, I replied. They left happy, relieved, talking about dinner plans like they had just escaped disaster. I stood behind the glass wall of my office watching them go. They thought they had secured a lifeline. They didn't realize they had handed me everything. For 3 months I played along. I paid the fines, hired the developers, approved the marketing. Brittany posted online like nothing had happened, talking about her comeback, her growth, her resilience. She never mentioned me. Not once. To her followers she was rebuilding herself. To me she was borrowing time. The mistake came exactly when I expected it. It started small. A company card used for a spa day, labeled as client relations. Then flights. Trips. Expenses that had nothing to do with the business. Within a month it crossed $12,000. I didn't argue. I didn't warn her. I didn't need to. One night, just after 2 a.m. I opened my laptop. The contract gave me everything I needed. 40. Control. And now, justification. I moved quietly. Changed account access. Updated ownership details. Shifted control where it legally belonged. By morning everything was different. Her website no longer led where it used to. Her accounts no longer answered to her. Her brand, the thing she thought she owned, was no longer hers. I was halfway through my coffee when the pounding started. 7 a.m. I checked my phone first. Dozens of missed calls. Then I opened the door. Brittany stood there, mascara streaked down her face, shaking, her phone clenched tightly in her hand. "You erased me," she shouted. "I can't log in. Everything's gone." I took a slow sip of coffee. "You defaulted," I said calmly. "You broke the agreement." Her voice cracked. "That account is my life." I met her eyes, steady. "Not anymore." "It was worth millions," she screamed. "It was," I corrected calmly. "Now it's a marketing asset for my business. And based on the engagement this morning, your followers seem more interested in antique craftsmanship than beach photos." Her face twisted. "I'll sue you. Mom and Dad will destroy you. Just give it back." "There's nothing to give back," I said. "The account is mine. The debt is cleared. You're free, Brittany. No charges, no fines, and no business." She froze. For the first time the truth hit her. I wasn't the sister she could push around anymore. I was the one in control. Without another word she turned and ran, already dialing, already crying. I watched her leave, a quiet, steady calm settling in my chest. It had been quick, precise, and final. I went back inside, finished my coffee and got ready for work. Thought it was over. I thought I had won. I was wrong. I locked up the office and headed for the door, ready to leave it all behind. But before I could step out, the door slammed shut. My father stood there, smiling. My mother just behind him. "Going somewhere?" he asked. "It's done," I said evenly. "She broke the agreement. I enforced it." He laughed and handed me an envelope. "You've been served." They were suing me. Claiming the $5,000 I received at 19 was an investment. Claiming the antiques that built my business were family property. They wanted half of everything. My company. My house. My life. They thought the courtroom would force me to bend. They thought wrong. In court my father played his role perfectly. A wounded parent. A generous man betrayed. He swore under oath that the antiques, the very pieces that launched my business, had always belonged to the family. That they had been entrusted to me. My lawyer didn't argue. She simply slid a document across the table. An insurance claim. Filed by my father the same year. Reporting those exact items as stolen. And collecting $200,000 for them. The room went silent. There were only two possibilities. He lied then, or he was lying now. Either way it was fraud. The judge didn't hesitate. Both my parents were taken into custody. Their assets frozen. Their reputation shattered. Everything they had built on lies collapsed in a single moment. Brittany lost her safety net. And for the first time in her life she had to face reality without anyone catching her. I didn't follow. I didn't look back. That night I returned home. The glass house stood quiet against the dark sky. I picked up a damaged chair and started sanding it down slowly, carefully, until the ruined surface gave way to clean wood underneath. Because that's the truth about broken things. Some damage can't be repaired. It has to be removed. Cut out completely. My parents tried to take my future. Instead they destroyed their own. And what's left now? My home. My business. My life. Finally, completely. My